Good afternoon from the Eyewitness News Weather Center. I'm Meteorologist Lee Goldberg with this storm update. Thank you as always for clicking on ABC7NY for your AccuWeather information. All right, here's where we stand. We have now had a couple of hours, a few hours of sleet on top of the snow in New York City, and we're still accumulating, of course, more slowly with the ice pellets, but it's this crunchy, icy mix. And, you know, we haven't seen plows come through here on Columbus Avenue, and it's making things very, very slippery, and untreated sidewalks are very slippery. We're still at 27 degrees. That's actually down a degree in the last hour, so temperatures are struggling quite a bit. So any snow, and there's still some snow in the far northern suburbs, places like Poughkeepsie, over to, let's say, Kingston and into parts of Sullivan County. We still have some snow, but 75% of the area is already going over to sleet and freezing rain. Plain rain won't be achieved even in New York City till 5 or 6 o'clock this evening. It's already happening down the Jersey Shore, but basically only south of I-78 have we gone over to plain rain, and it's going to be just a real creep of that freezing line to go to the north during the afternoon hours. Sleet and freezing rain will last well into the night. Well north and west. I mean, north and west of I-287, you're talking about late evening. I mean, this thing is winding down just after midnight, so the majority of the event will be spent at or below freezing. Some snow amounts starting to come in. How about Ridge in Suffolk County coming in with a couple of inches of snow, nearly 2.5 inches in New Windsor. So our forecast totals are coming into view with the 1 to 3 along the coast and the 3 to 5, some isolated 6s maybe in the highest elevations of the Catskills. That's where we stand in terms of accumulation. But look at these temperatures. We still have more of a northeast wind. It's going to go a little bit more easterly in the afternoon hours, but that's been pulling in some pretty cold air. It's only 16 in Monticello, 23 White Plains, 27 in the Park. We're still, I mean, several degrees below freezing here north of I-78 and also east of New York City as well. All right, so here's the radar map. So you have your rain right here over parts of southern Monmouth and Ocean. We've got a real thin strip of freezing rain on the northwest side of Philly going toward Trenton, and it's maybe toward Homedale, New Jersey, up to just south of Sandy Hook. That might be near Seabright. Then there's this huge purple area. So that's all sleet. So that's just ice pellets. If you've been out, it's pinging on the windows, pinging on the windshields. So that's all sleet. It is mixing all the way up to I-84, and then it's pure snow in only a few areas. Highest elevations well north and west and in the mid-Hudson Valley. You see how you're seeing a little bit of snow here across Sussex and Warren, so you get into some higher elevations, the hills of northwest New Jersey. You can still support a little snow. So a close-up radar tour for you. Here's some rain in Toms River, so wet roads here on top of a light snow accumulation. Here's all that sleet, and it's been sleeting for several hours here. Still some snowflakes mixed in at times, but the majority of it is sleet up to about I-84. There's still some snow over Wantage and maybe near Vernon, New Jersey, and over into parts of Poughkeepsie. That's where we're still seeing some snowfall here just north of Fishkill. So north of I-84, there's still some snowflakes mixing in with some sleet, and of course the highest elevations of the Catskills, we still have some decent snowfall rates going on right here. So you have your primary low, which is going into the lakes, but what's trapping in some of the colder air is a development of low pressure along the coast, and that has more of a northeast wind. As that begins to move eastward, more of an easterly wind's going to come in, and we'll get that Atlantic air into effect, and the temperatures will start to climb, at least from the city and the nearby northwest suburbs as we go into the early evenings. But again, a very slow process. Because you don't have a really well-defined coastal storm, our winds are a little gusty at times, maybe 25, 30, but you're not seeing powerful or damaging winds, which is good news because we're having icing. We may have ice accreting on tree limbs and power lines, and we don't want any gusty winds taking those down. But my concern is as we go into the day tomorrow, behind that storm, the winds start to crank out of the west and northwest, and we're gusting over 45 or 50 tomorrow. So I am worried, even if we see some power outages tonight because of the ice accretion, we may see additional power outages tomorrow because of some of the gusty winds. So let me just take you through a futurecast here. And what it's showing is basically around 5:30 we get to the freezing mark in New York City. And I think our models have been a little too quick to warm up these temperatures. So this may be more like 6 o'clock in New York City. Let's say the freezing line gets closer to I-287 by 9 o'clock at night. I mean, so well into the evening, we've gone through hours and hours of sleet and periods of freezing rain with ice building up, and maybe a quarter to a third of an inch of ice off to the north and west. And I mean, it's probably 11 o'clock, midnight that freezing line gets to the I-84 corridor, and there'll be some spots in northern Orange County, Sullivan, Ulster, Dutchess, over to the Catskills and Poconos, where it never gets above freezing during the entire event. Here's another look at the progression of the freezing line. So there's the timestamp, 6 o'clock into Midtown, 287, 8 o'clock, and it may be an hour later than that. I-84, 11 o'clock. Never in parts of northern Orange County, Sullivan, Ulster, Dutchess County. So that's when the storm is actually coming to an end around 3 in the morning. So the biggest, even though we can have a glaze in New York City, I mean, the biggest concern will be northwest New Jersey and then the I-84 corridor, where we may have extended freezing rain. You know, sleet is one thing, but once you get freezing rain and things are coating on the surfaces, you really get more of a skating ring versus some of the crunchy ice pellets that are accumulating on top of the snowfall right now. So some of this, I mean, a lot of it has actually already fallen in terms of snowfall, but we can still accumulate some sleet on top of that snow. So I think we're going to verify with these 1 to 3 inch totals, city, Long Island, down the shore, at least from northern ocean, and then the nearby northwest suburbs. And then once we get north and west of I-287, well, north and west, we start to get the 3 to 5, maybe some isolated 6 inch totals. So here are the headlines for you. We have a buildup of ice. That's the main concern moving forward. It's not about piling up snow totals. It's the buildup of ice. The change over to rain. New York City, figure 5, 6 o'clock. I-287, 8 or 9 o'clock. 11 p.m. or midnight at I-84. And of course, the biggest impact going forward, the icy roads and sidewalks and the potential power outages as well. And don't forget, we're going to have big time gusty winds coming into tomorrow. Winter weather advisories and warnings will go into the early morning hours tomorrow, and then they'll expire. Basically, the precipitation is tapering off after about 2 or 3 in the morning. We will be dry by daybreak, but there'll still be icy conditions and icy travel off to the north. Here's a sneak peek of the 7-day, which is sort of still fluid. I'm still working on a couple of things. Gusty winds tomorrow, the big concern, gusts 45, 50 miles an hour. So that 41, it's going to feel more like mid-30s. Valentine's Day is not bad. There'll be some high clouds. The sun's fading during the day, but it's a little milder at 46, still a bit of a breeze, but nothing like tomorrow's winds. Friday has trended milder and has also trended drier during the daylight hours. There may be a shower that sneaks in by the end of the day, but look at that number, 55 degrees. So nice for any Valentine's Day plans. You might need the umbrella in the early evening hours for a passing shower. Now here's some changes over the weekend, which look pretty dry initially, but now it's a close call with a couple of systems sliding by to the south. There may be a period of some snow or rain. Doesn't look terribly heavy. It looks like it would be steadier south of New York City, but that's during the day on Saturday, and I've lowered Saturday's temperatures, which initially at the beginning of the week started out in the upper 40s. Now we're in the lower 40s. Now on Sunday, fine during the day, probably a lot of clouds around, and then late in the day into Sunday night, there's a little system passing to the south, which could also bring a little bit of light snow. So maybe there are some slick conditions early on Monday for a Monday morning commute. Chilly wind on Monday, and then sun mixes with clouds on Tuesday. So a pretty busy 7-day with a little diamond in the rough coming in there on Friday. So obviously, I hope you're watching on your device from home and just sitting safely in the warmth of your home. You don't want to be out on any of the roadways. I know it can look like, oh, well, okay, the snow isn't piling up. The visibility may not be as bad. Maybe it's okay to go out, and that's absolutely not the case. Even where we're seeing plain rain, it's pretty good rains down in southern New Jersey and decent rainfall totals. There'll be some standing water. So travel really difficult. We're really not exaggerating the fact that it can be very dangerous on the area roadways, sidewalks, all across the area, and this icing continues well into the night as we go off to the north and west. So I'll work on the forecast through the afternoon hours. In about 20 minutes, we'll have an update on Channel 7. And of course, complete coverage coming up on Eyewitness News starting at 4 and of course 5 and 6. I'll be here on ABC7 NY again in the evening hours, and all updates on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. Thanks as always for clicking on ABC7 NY for your weather details, and again, stay safe for the remainder of the storm.